Time for today's Bart Chart. How low can the yen go? Earlier today, it broke through 125 for the dollar for the first time in almost 13 years. The 125.05 level was the lowest for the yen since October the 22nd, 2002. See that yellow circle right there? That was then. 2002. Suddenly, the dollar-yen exchange rate has become rather interesting. I've drawn two red lines on this chart. Look at the far right-hand corner of the chart. I've drawn two red lines which mark the trading range from December the 5th to May the 22nd. In that time, the dollar-yen traded between 116.17 and 121.46. That's a 5-yen range. It broke out of it right there on May the 22nd. It's risen every day since. That 8 straight days of yen declines. It's no coincidence, by the way, that May the 22nd was the day Fed Chair Janet Yellen said she expected to raise U.S. borrowing costs this year. And that explains the rationale for the sudden moves. Traders are renewing bets the Fed will raise rates this year, while policymakers in Japan press on with unprecedented stimulus. Currently 80 trillion yen of government debt a year. That's $641 billion. The next peak to climb for the dollar against the yen, at least on this chart going back to 2000. See that pink circle right over there? That was back in 2000, by the way. That was 134.71, quite a way for the dollar-yen to get to that. That's when the yen reached the lowest level versus the dollar since October the 2nd, 1998. For the record, the low for the yen was 358 on January the 13th, 1971. The high was reached on October the 28th, 2011. That's the blue circle. Since then, by the way, the dollar has risen, the yen has dropped by 39%. So the big question is, what next for the yen? Now, top forecasters are divided on how much weaker it'll get. Ebury Partners was the most accurate yen forecaster in the first quarter. It sees the yen tumbling to 132 per dollar this year. Nomura Holdings, which placed second in the rankings, and Bank of Tokyo Mitsubishi UFJ, which is Japan's biggest lender, say it'll struggle to depreciate much further beyond 125. The median forecast of 85 analysts we've surveyed is for the dollar to stay around 125 yen at the end of 2015. That's unchanged since February. Ebury is the most bearish on the yen. The most bullish is Prestige Economics with a 114 forecast. The path, of course, depends on two questions. When will the US raise interest rates, and will the BOJ implement further monetary easing? It's worth remembering last Wednesday the BOJ Governor Haruhiko Kuroda reiterated he will adjust his annual stimulus program if needed. One more thing, just be aware, Japanese officials, including the Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga, have expressed concern about the pace of the yen's decline while stopping short of calling for a halt. There you have it. How low can the yen go?